What we're going to do today is Tonglen meditation, which I think most of you are really familiar with. It's one of our classics. But just on the off chance that there's some new people in here that haven't done Tonglen meditation, I guess the important thing to realize whenever you hear this word self-cherishing, destroy self-cherishing, this self-cherishing that we're talking about is not harming oneself. This is actually freeing oneself. The self-cherishing thought is what gives us fear, anxiety, depression, craving, grasping, etc., etc. So this self-cherishing that we're going to be trying to destroy throughout this meditation and throughout this life and lifetimes is a thought that involves a lot of self-focus, excessive self-focus, selfishness. And it's a thought that is working for your welfare with indifference to others, even at the cost of others. And so this is the thought that we really want to destroy. So in the Tonglen meditation, what we're really trying to do is open up our heart and free it of this self-cherishing thought. And in particular, today we're going to focus the meditation on animals because it's World Animal Day. So we'll go through the rest of the stages in a more abbreviated way, so we won't forget any of the realms, but we'll focus more in on animals. So I'm going to do it today in the style of Atisha and Geshe Chakawa, where we start with the giving and taking from oneself, and where we visualize the different visualizations riding on the breath. So for some newer people, the visualization goes a little bit like all the gross stuff that we carry around with us and all of the difficult suffering of sentient beings. It takes the form of black smoke that we voluntarily breathe in, and then all of our roots of virtue, all of our happiness takes the form of golden light that we breathe out, sharing. So this is a bit counterintuitive, and so if you're new to this process, just give it a go. It's not like it's going to hurt you, right? It's worth a try, and I think that the great benefit of this practice in the immediate is that it gives you courage. Yeah? It gives you a real sense of, yeah, I can take this on, not only my own suffering, but the suffering of others. I can do this. So it can add some robustness to your practice, I think. So we'll just give it a go. And if you want to start by getting yourself nice meditation posture, nice straight back. And just for a couple minutes, we'll allow the breath to be our focal object, to allow the mind to settle. So just a bare observation of breath. And the mind will naturally start reminiscing or falling into comparison, or it will run away to the future and planning. And whenever that happens, just consciously bring yourself back home to this moment and anchor your focus on the breath. And now revive your bodhicitta motivation. Think that the purpose of my life is to free all living beings from suffering and bring them the perfect happiness of enlightenment. But right now, the very best I can do is an educated guess. And sometimes with the best of intentions, I do more harm than good. And so I need omniscience to be of benefit to others. I need full, complete Buddhahood. Being a good, kind person is not enough. So may this practice further our momentum towards Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. And as you think of this bodhicitta motivation, put it into your own words, to yourself, and let it sink in. Own this concept as your own. And now think to yourself, in order to free living beings from suffering, I first need to understand suffering. And the best way to understand suffering is to look at my own situation right now in this moment, and to work to overcome my resistance to the negative karma that's ripening, and to find the strength to take it on the path. And so just for a moment, list internally to yourself all the little difficulties, all the large difficulties going on for you in your life, without getting swept up into the emotion or into the story. Just laundry list what's difficult for you right now. Connect with the experience of suffering without getting sucked in. And so start by thinking physically. What little aches and pains, what large distress, etc. And then thinking that I compound the current suffering that's happening to me by resisting it, by looking for samsara symptoms relief, and I only add fuel to the fire. So for this short time, imagine that you voluntarily take on all those physical sufferings, all your fatigue, your hunger, your aches and pains, your sore muscles. Imagine that they take the form of black smoke in the space in front of you, that you voluntarily breathe it in and give it to your self-cherishing thought. So for a few in-breaths, focus on that visualization. You can think that by knowing this suffering, by not disassociating and running from it, I will have a genuine empathy with others and their physical pain. So I need this experience to understand in some way the sufferings of others. I need this reminder of what negative karma brings. And so welcome that physical suffering. Give it to your self-cherishing thought. You can think it is the self-cherishing thought itself that created this trouble to begin with. And so now your body is being filled with this black smoke. And imagine that it turns into thunderclouds. And lightning strikes the core of that self-cherishing thought, cracking the shell that covers your good heart. And imagine that you breathe out golden light, all of your happiness, all of your roots of virtue. And this cloud of golden light surrounds you, letting go of your attachment to it. And the light reabsorbs into you. And now doing this process with your own personal difficulties of speech, being misunderstood, not being listened to, losing your words, all the different sufferings that come from speech, from communication in general. List these to yourself. Again, thinking this is fuel for my practice that I don't need to resist. I can take this on the path. And once again, breathing in all of those troubles of speech in the form of black smoke, giving them once again to your self-cherishing thought. And again, that dark cloud forms, and lightning strikes and cracks the shell that covers your good heart, cracks the shell of your self-cherishing. And you breathe out golden light, all of your happiness, roots of virtue. And a cloud of golden light forms around you. And as you let go of your attachment to all these forms of happiness, it reabsorbs into you anyway. And now think personally about the difficulties you're having with your mind, whether it's simple things like staying awake or it's some epic existential crisis, general feelings of loneliness or depression, anxiety, anger, jealousy, pride, all the afflictions coming up in your mind. Think, these too I can take on the path. But first list them for yourself and feel how they are suffering. And then think once again the cause of all of these mental problems. All of these mental problems are caused by the self-cherishing thought. No one has made me feel this way. And so think that you voluntarily breathe in all the struggle that you're having mentally without resistance, and give that suffering to the self-cherishing thought. Give it back to it. And once again, the cloud forms, and lightning strikes that hard shell of self-consciousness, self-focus, selfishness. And again, the shell cracks further open, freeing your heart from the prison it created by the self-cherishing thought. And breathe out golden light, all of your happiness and roots of virtue. It again forms a cloud of light around you. And as you let go of your attachment to it, it reabsorbs back into you anyway. And so for a few breaths, just breathe in black smoke, breathe out golden light. Breathe in your own suffering courageously. Let go of your own happiness voluntarily, but let it come back to yourself. And think to yourself, may all of the struggles I've ever encountered only be fuel for the path. May they help me open my heart outward towards others, to not judge them for the bad behavior that comes from their suffering, because I know all my own bad behavior comes from mine. And now shift your focus to the suffering of other sentient beings. Rather than our normal habit of turning away, changing the channel, flipping the magazine page, decide for this short time to really think about the experience of, in particular, of the animal realm, one of the few realms that we can see And so first think about animals who in general seem to have it good. Our pets, dogs and cats. The fish in the fish tank. For a moment we might be tricked into thinking they've got it good, they've got it made, basking in the sun all day, being fed, having lots of companionship and play. We might even yearn for that rebirth. But try and think what actually might be going on for the mind of those pets. How quickly they jump when there's a sound at the door. Fear, anger, protection, instinct. Think about the fact that they do sleep so much of the day, drowning in ignorance. So much that they might have learned the last time they were human would be forgotten by those years of sleep. And when they see others of their own kind, their thoughts are very base, either fight or mate. And so think these poor pets, even the ones that have it weighed, even the ones in a very good situation, completely tormented by the suffering of ignorance, not in control of their own fate in any way, even less than us. And so think that we voluntarily take on the suffering of those animals that are in a good situation. Breathe in all of their suffering in the form of black smoke. Breathe out all of your roots of virtue, all of your happiness. And then thinking about this state of those same types of animals in developing countries or in poor areas, completely consumed by fear and starvation, or by cruelty by humans. Think of what their days must be like, looking for warmth, looking for shelter and food, running from other animals, running from humans. A whole life, cold and afraid and hungry. And so think that suffering too, to voluntarily take on. Imagine that you breathe in that suffering of all of those animals hungry and afraid, and give it to your self-cherishing thought. Think in the future, I will liberate these countless sentient beings. And send out golden light on the out-breath. All of your happiness, all of your own warmth and comfort. Try to free your mind from selfishness. And now think of the animals that will someday be the food of humans. You can think in particular of the situation of chickens stacked one on top of the other, sometimes with terrible things done to them, like their beaks removed or their feet removed. The excrement of the chicken above it falling on its head, surrounded by its fellow creatures, completely unable to connect with them or enjoy each other because they're constrained in these tiny cages. And so for however long they live, trapped, afraid, terrible smells, intense pain. And then right before they're killed, they see their brothers and sisters go before them. And whether or not they know what's happening, it's very likely they feel the fear. And the reason that they're in this situation, treated as objects and not beings, is because of the self-cherishing thought of humans. It's the ripening result of their past self-cherishing thoughts. And so imagine taking all of that suffering, breathing it in, and giving it to that self-cherishing thought that makes us so careless and indifferent to the situations we let these beings get into, that we force them into, or pretend not to know they're in. And breathe out all of your roots of virtue, all of your causes for enlightenment, your causes for perfect human rebirth. And imagine giving it to these creatures. Do this for the countless cows with their babies taken from them, the male ones killed so quickly, horribly, with fear, the female ones being kept in miserable circumstances, milked, sometimes genetically engineered, to have udders so big that they're in constant discomfort and pain. And so think of as many animals in this situation as you can, and take on their suffering, breathing in black smoke, letting go of your happiness, breathing out golden light. Again and again, in each form you can think of. Especially the fear of those animals right before they're slaughtered. And as you breathe in this suffering, think this suffering is because of my self-cherishing thought. I allow this circumstance to happen. I might even fund it by my choices when I go grocery shopping. Think that the poor suffering that these animals experience is the result of their self-cherishing thought from the past. All of this suffering, all from this self-cherishing thought. So keep taking in the suffering that it causes and allow it to break apart all that difficult thinking, all that wrong thinking, freeing up your good heart of compassion, freeing up the mind of enlightenment. And now think about the animals who are slaughtered not even for food, but for some unfortunate belief system, thinking that this will lead to some sort of liberation or will placate some angry God or some sort of wrong thinking. Think to take on the suffering of those animals, slaughtered one by one. All of that fear, completely unnoticed by the ones doing the slaughtering. Breathing in black smoke, breathing out golden light. And thinking about the way the self-cherishing thought creates suffering for animals that are in insect bodies, the way that we treat them as rubbish. We might vacuum up the spiders. We might wipe over the ants cleaning the kitchen counter, as if they were dust or dirt, not something with mind, not our kind mothers. The self-cherishing thought gives us this indifference, this carelessness. And think of the state of the minds of those beings. Such simple thoughts, but constant work and fear, work and fear. And so imagine taking on all of their suffering, all of the ants and cockroaches and flies and the things that we despise. Think to take on all of their suffering and give it to the self-cherishing thought. And give them all of your happiness, your roots of virtue. Breathing in black smoke, breathing out golden light. And move your mind to the animal realm, out of the animal realm to the human realm, to the suffering of beings who do this killing, who do this carelessness, as well as our friends and family members and all of their problems and distress and worries. Just think to take on all of the suffering of the human realm. We might get overwhelmed when we see the news, all of the war, all of the fighting. But we can be brave enough to sit with that. See that this is what happens when my mind is untamed. And so I must destroy the self-cherishing thought, so as not to add violence to the violence already in the world. Breathing in that suffering, sending out your happiness. And you can do this now for the beings in the Deva realms, those God realm beings whose lives are completely consumed with pleasure. They have the all-pervasive suffering of conditioning. Someday their merit will run out, and the devastation they'll feel when they see themselves about to fall to the lower realms is so excruciating. The suffering of the demigods with their jealousy. Imagine breathing in that suffering. Give it to your self-cherishing thought. Send out golden light, your happiness and virtue. And do this for the beings in the hungry ghost realms, with minds similar to those of an addict. It's never enough, whatever they find. Continually striving, searching, and whatever they find, it's never enough. And it gives them even more pain when they consume it. Taking on all of this suffering, which is the result of self-cherishing, give it to your own self-cherishing thought. Breathe out golden light, your roots of virtue and happiness. And do this for the hell realm beings, the terrible suffering of the hot hells, the terrible suffering of the cold hells. Breathing that in, giving it to your self-cherishing thought, breathing out golden light, sending relief. And for a few breaths, imagine that you're doing this for all 6 realms beings, all your kind mothers. And now imagine that those beings of the 6 realms themselves melt into golden light, and all of that light gathers back and dissolves into your heart. And with it, a sense of responsibility. thinking I will banish the one to blame for everything, this self-cherishing thought. I will become a Buddha in order to benefit these kind mother sentient beings. And dedicate all of the merit you put into these thoughts to quickly achieving your perfect full enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And remembering the emptiness of yourself, the meditator, the action of meditating, and any karma created, none of it existing at all from its own side.